Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors together, Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. It's 10 a.m. And I have asked our new county assessor, Shara Cassie, to say the pledge for us. And after that, the invocation will be by Pastor Anthony Garisi at the First Baptist Church in Payson.
And then before we get started the meeting, I've got an announcement to make about.
Okay, Woody, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I know some of you know, but others may not, but down there in Winkleman, Annie Hinojos, she passed away. She was our director in our senior center down there. And so just a wonderful lady. She's been there 30, 40 years down there. She's lived right there in the town of Hayden, been a part of the Hayden bunch over there as well. And anyway, she serviced all the way in that lower corner of us, plus all the way to Saddlebrook and a lot in Pinell County as well. Did an outstanding job. Everything we worked with her on, she was remarkable at. And she's very political in her community as well as serving on the town council, Winkleman, to boot. So her services are Saturday, January 25th in Winkleman. And if we could, let's stand and give her a moment of silence.
Okay.
Thank you.
Shara, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Garisi.
Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for your mercy and grace. Father, I thank you for the beautiful day. Lord, I thank you for your grace upon this country. Lord, we pray for our new president. Lord, I pray that you keep him safe. Father, I pray for the men and the women that make the decisions for Gila County. I pray they make their decisions in the fear of God. Lord, I thank you for the Lord Jesus Christ, our precious Redeemer, the Lamb of God, which is taking away the sin of the world. Father God, we thank you for his sacrifice at Calvary for the sins of mankind. Lord, we love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Be seated. And thank you, Shara. Our new county assessor, and it looks like she's hard at work. She's here, she's there, and that's good. They haven't run you off yet. You're liking it? Yeah. Yeah, good. I'm glad you're on the job doing that. So, all right, with that, let's go ahead and start with item 2, which is our regular agenda items. Item 2A is information, discussion, action to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bid number 121624 for the purchase of a new Class 8 10-wheeler vehicle. Good morning, Homero.
Good morning, Chairman and board members. The first item that I'd like to present is an authorization to solicit bids for the purchase of a new 10-wheeler for Public Works Consolidated Road Divisions. The vehicle that we will replace is C029. It is currently 46 years old and has over 560,000 miles on it. This vehicle is often unusable. It's in the shop quite a bit and has its breakdowns and repairs, and it's due to its age and mileage. It currently has about $161,000 of maintenance fees associated with it. The bid that we have put together is meant to be a competitive bid. It doesn't single out a Caterpillar or Ford Star or a particular brand of vehicle. What it says is we want a white truck, Series 8 dual axle, Cummins engine, and Allison transmission, and a gross vehicle weight of 58,000 pounds. So hopefully that invites folks to offer competitive bids. This is, when we do the budgeting process, this is one of the larger items that we had meant to purchase in fiscal year 25. The other one was a motor grader, which we've already purchased with your authorization. and 5 trucks that were talked about, that we replaced 8 trucks with the 5 that Dave LaForge presented not too long ago. The only remaining large capital equipment that we haven't purchased is a water truck, and as soon as we get an okay from you to go out on this one, we'll start working on the water truck. And with that, we would like to get your approval to authorize the advertisement to go out for bids for the purchase of a new Class 8 10-wheeler vehicle.
Thank you, Homero. Supervisor Humphrey.
The 10-wheeler vehicle, is it gonna be a dump truck or what?
It is a dump truck, yes.
It is a dump truck. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Homero, how many other ones do we have right behind this one?
So we have 15 vehicles, 15 dump trucks, 10-wheelers in Public Works, okay? Of the 15, 8 of them are over 25 years old, and then there's 2 that are over 35 years old. So we have C015, which we acquired in 1982, and that one is next, okay? The one we're purchasing today is the oldest one. C029 we acquired in 1978. Those 2 vehicles are older than 35 years old. Like I mentioned, there's 8 others that are older than 25 years old, and we use that vehicle replacement plan to kind of make decisions. Even though it's easy, this is the oldest one with the most mileage, with the most maintenance, and it needs to be replaced.
So, Homero, if we've got another one right there behind it, is it just because your budget's a little short to cover 2 of them, or? Because if we buy 2 versus 1, we might get a little bit better deal.
There is room in Public Works to probably acquire 2 of them. And if I could make this contingent upon us not violating the rule of overspending our budget, if this fits into that rule, and I'll look for the county manager to help me a little bit on that. We have funding available for 2, okay, in total. We didn't budget for 2, and I'm just, if it's possible, I would certainly entertain the idea of buying 2 of them. So, County Manager Manlove, could you help me a little bit? Would it be appropriate for us to do that?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, that is certainly within your purview, that you have established the budget. When we budget the entire amount, and typically in Public Works, with HERF dollars, projects overlap over multiple years, so we are budgeting for multiple years, and so it would be within the budget capacity of the Public Works Department to acquire 2 of the dump trucks this year.
I just know that your folks put a ton of miles on these trucks, Homero, and our mechanics are good, they're keeping them up, but anyway, so that's where I would be, is if you've got the capacity to do 2 of them, we just get you 2 new ones and get you ahead of the power curve a little bit.
I'd be happy to have the board item adjusted so that it allows us to go out invitation for bids for two vehicles, if that's okay with the board.
Perhaps we could get 2 bids, one for 1 vehicle and one for 2 vehicles. In other words, what Woody's saying is, Mr. Supervisor Klein is saying that perhaps we can get them cheaper if we buy 2. We don't know that yet. So you'll bring this back before us anyway once you have your proposals.
I'd like to get approval to advertise for bids, and for the bids to say, to allow us to purchase 1 or 2 vehicles. And that way we can move forward with this item. Maybe perhaps up to 2 vehicles, no less than 1 is perhaps a way to look at the approval, what you would be approving today.
Okay. Thank you, Humera. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bids number 121624 to include 1 or 2 of these Class 8 10-wheelers.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Numero 2B, information, discussion, action to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bid number 121-124, grinding and hauling of green waste for the Buckhead and Russell Gulch landfill.
Thank you. This item is requesting your authorization to advertise for grinding and hauling of green waste for Buckhead and Russell Gulch landfill. Today, we have approximately 4,000 tons of green waste at Buckhead Mesa and about 1,200 tons of green waste at Russell Gulch landfill. The vendor would be providing their equipment and personnel to grind the waste mulch. The waste includes stumps, tree trimmings, grass clippings, leaves, branches, brush, and other similar organic waste. We prefer not to put green waste in landfills so as to mitigate the methane production and to save the airspace of the landfills. Processing the green waste would allow us to use it for erosion control. We can use it for sell it or haul it to biomass, and perhaps even for landscaping purposes. So we would like to do this. Our staff, we continue to have turnover at the landfills. We are concerned for space, and we're also concerned for the fire hazard. We would like to do this, and we'd like to move forward with that invitation to bid on the grinding and hauling of green waste. I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
No, I'm good. Thank you, Homero.
Thanks. So this is to have a contractor do it for us, not purchase equipment. Correct?
Pardon me?
Not purchasing equipment. We're
Correct.
asking a contractor to do this.
That's right, and
Okay.
this would be something that if we find it to be competitive and appropriate, it's something that we would repeat every year. What we're looking at is, again, this is a competitive, we're trying to look for how can we get this competitive. We know that there's different sizes of equipment, so we'll entertain if the equipment is larger, how much, and compare it to the smaller equipment. So the bids will be evaluated by the effective rate, dollars per cubic yard, and we plan to pay by the hourly rate that they propose. And we would be measuring the amount of green waste that is ground every week or so, because this would be, once they come in with a large piece of equipment, we think it'll take them 2 weeks to grind everything up. So we would be using our drones and our surveyors to figure out how much was really ground up. So again, this is another effort on our part to find a way to competitively bid for these services.
Thank you, Mayor. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the advertisement and invitation for bid number 12112.
And I'll second it.
We have a motion second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Homero.
Thank you.
All right, item 2C is information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 25-01-03, authorizing the installation and regulatory signage at the intersection of Daybreak Drive and Saguaro Drive, located in unincorporated Globe in Gila County. Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors. As you know, per state statute, any regulatory sign needs to be brought before the county engineer and reviewed, and then brought before the Board of Supervisors for approval. So this is for a yield sign between Daybreak Drive and Saguaro Drive here in unincorporated Gila County. This is a Y intersection, and as you can see, there's a left turn off of Saguaro Drive onto Daybreak Drive, and currently there is no signage right there, and so there's nothing to prevent anybody from just running through that intersection and colliding with somebody who's taking a right off of Saguaro Drive, so we'd like to remedy that.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, because the left there off Daybreak, it's almost kind of a blind because that goes downhill too, so.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good deal to get some signs.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good as well, so let's, I'll call for a bid. No.
Go for it.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, that'll be $10. No, I'll call for a motion, though.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 250103.
I'll second that.
A motion and second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Item 2D, information, discussion, action to approve funding agreement number 216-25 between the Arizona Department of Housing and the Gila County Community Services Division, Housing Services to provide Southwest Gas Corporation and Arizona Public Service Weatherization Assistance Program funding in the amount of $266,490 for the period of January 1, 2025 to December 31, 2025. Good morning, Paula.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for having me. This grant is actually something we've been doing for a long time in community services, and it's just a continuation of last year to provide those services of $18,490 for Southwest Gas and $248,000 for Arizona Public Service. So, and we ask that you approve this so we can continue to do the great work they're doing in community services.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, on this funding for weatherization, it requires the contractor to be BPI certified?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes, there are some small projects, though, that we can do, and we use all local
Yeah,
contractors for
no,
that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Supervisor Klein?
I'm good. Thank you, Paula.
Yeah, I'm fine. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Arizona Department of Housing Funding Agreement Number 216-25 as presented.
And I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And we got you for the next one too. Okay, information, discussion, action. This is item 2E, to review all bids submitted for request for proposal number 091424, consulting services, opioid abatement, wraparound services, and award a contract to the lowest, most responsive, responsible, and qualified bidder. Paula.
Thank you, Chairman. This was our only bid, but we are glad that we received this bid from Wowza, which is a company that we have we've been using in the past for several of our projects. Wowza has proven in the last 7 years to be a very excellent partner, and what they propose to do is typically done. So we do, and we think they even go above and beyond by schedule. They change some of the projects at our request. So this project actually is designed to address one of the most pressing challenges, of course, that we're facing in Gila County, which is the opioid epidemic. I have been on the opioid fatality review team, even for the state now, and one of the, and Gila County is no different than other counties. One of the issues that we have and that we have addressed was that there is no soft handoffs from patients going into the emergency room or getting out of jail. And these are the wraparound services that we're hoping to do that. The project is going to be action and impact, and they will be addressing the gaps. And that is one of the gaps, is that people do go into the emergency room and they may not be ready for actually going into behavioral health or going into substance abuse counseling, but they may need Narcan, or they may need, so this project, they're actually going to take in and do an assessment of each patient that is released from the hospital. They'll be working with the hospitals and the jail to actually identify people that have come in with the opioid overdose, or that they have responded to actually using opioids. And they will look at how to sustain them as far as getting them into treatment. Are they ready to go into treatment? And they'll be using a tool called the Trans-Theoretical Model of Change. So you assess the client as to where they need. So they may just need basic need. They may actually need to go into recovery right away. They will provide transportation. They will provide tailored support using what they need so that they'll continue to be in recovery. And that may even mean using and paying for their bills so that they can ensure they have a safe home to return, getting them a job. They'll do establishing job interview, clothing, getting them things for all of the family members so that they will be able to recover in a safe environment. So we have used WOWSA, and they are going to report to us monthly, the leadership team at Public Health, to ensure that they're doing the things that they've said in the proposal. And they're also going to be providing a dashboard for us so that at any day and time we can actually look at the numbers that they're serving, and we can share that with you as well. They are planning on giving us reports all the way through this project, and to adjust to see if maybe they may need to add staff or to include some of the services that maybe they haven't. And they're going to be providing this hopefully for 28 months. So we would recommend that we do give the proposal to WOWSA LLC.
Thank you for
Any
that, Paula.
questions?
Sounds like a great program. So Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, it sounds like a great project, and they have looks like they're trying to do all they can to help the people, which, you know, that'll help with our criminal activity, our homelessness, teen violence. You know, it just goes on and on the things that they'll be able to help if they can get people interested in help. So thank you very much
Yes.
for bringing that to us, and I think it's a great program.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Supervisor Klein.
It is a really good program, Paula, and I look forward to seeing numbers. You're gonna keep track of the statistics or do some
Yes.
kind of analysis on numbers and things like that going forward?
Yes, they're going to create, thank you, Supervisor. They are going to create a dashboard that will actually give us all that information. And we also have, they have already created 2 dashboards for us in the past. So, yeah, we will be keeping track, because obviously going from the emergency room into the jail, we're going to have different numbers across the board. So, yeah.
I'm really
Interested in it,
curious to
yes.
see what those numbers will look like and everything, but, you know, it's a big problem, but, so thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Yeah, thank you, Paula. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to award a contract to WOWSA LLC in the amount not to exceed $750,000 in response to request for proposals number 091424.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Right. Item 2F, information discussion action to appoint Mr. Todd Strawdinger to the Gila County Planning and Zoning Commission for the term office beginning on January 21st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028. Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Todd Strutting and his wife live out there in El Capitan. I've known them now, well, I guess it was during the floods and all that. It's been a while. Really good guy, real knowledgeable, seems like, level-headed. And so I think he's gonna make a terrific fit to our Planning and Zoning Commission, and look forward to seeing him on there. I'm happy to answer any questions if I can.
Supervisor Humphrey.
If you like him, I have no questions.
Neither do I. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to appoint Todd Strawdinger to the Gila County Planning and Zoning Commission as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. It's not my intention to create a new world record today. We'll probably slow down a little bit on this next item. Item 2G, information discussion action to review and approve one of 2 contract options for a 4-year employment contract between Gila County and W. James Menlove for the period of January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2028. The supervisors have been provided 2 copies, or should I say 2 contracts that are virtually the same, with the exception of one small portion on page 3. Section 6, paragraph C. The 2 paragraphs in that location simply describe the stipend and what examples of what it's used for in a different way. Now, we have the option of going into executive session if needed. I'll ask our attorney to give a brief summary of how we arrived at these two contracts. Was this because of what the board has instructed you to do?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the board had instructed the county attorney's office to work with Mr. Menlove to develop a contract for the current four-year term of this board to serve as county manager, having negotiated several of the major provisions of that contract. And there was one outstanding matter that the county attorney's office did not have clarity on, and that was with regard to the stipend paragraph, because we saw after the executive session a different version. They aren't significant differences, but it's up to the board to decide which of those two suits the board's purposes.
Okay, so our option today is to either vote on one of these contracts or defer it
Yes.
for further discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Or,
If the board would like to go into executive session to discuss it further, that can be done pursuant to the agenda item that so states.
okay. All right, Supervisor Humphrey, anything?
Yeah, I would like to go into either a work session, or I would like to chair this for another meeting, because Mr. Menlove is in a month-to-month as of now, but you just put two contracts in front of me, and I have nothing in my agenda for those contracts. He said we were presented with them, and so what we're talking about today, we've been in executive session like 3 different times, so I'm just assuming that I would know what those contracts are. And so I would either like to go into executive session, or I would like to postpone it to have the opportunity to see the difference between the two and discuss them with council.
Thank you for that. Supervisor Klein.
I do not want to postpone anything. We've drug this out, in my opinion, far enough. I want it done. The only thing difference, and I've read this, I've had it since last week, the end of last week. There's not a lot of difference, and I can read the difference if you would like, Mr. Chair. The thing that people need to realize straight up is the stipend, is not regular tax money. It's different funds that come from the lottery. Correct, Mr. Menlove? And what that has been for, and you guys have seen it, like during the swearing-in ceremonies, when we have this stuff out in the hallway for snacks and things like that, that gives the county the opportunity to purchase that and put it up there. Or if we are, passing along a retirement gift, a copper splash to, let's just say, a retiring mayor or something like that, that gives us the opportunity to spend a little bit of money on things like that. That's what this is all about. Mr. James has had that for the last 4 years, and just depending on the need and where it is and what goes on. Sherry's been the keeper of the books, so the books have always been good and told out. If we need to go into executive session to look at this one more for Supervisor Humphrey, I'm willing to do that. But when I come out of that session, I personally want it done. I want to go on. I want it done, and I don't mind doing it right here in the middle of everybody and YouTube. So, Mr. Chair, it's your call.
Oh, thank you.
If I'd like,
Go ahead.
you just made a point on a contract to blame me for what you just stated was my intentions of holding this up. And that was not my intention, and that was not something that I had ever had an issue with.
Well, I apologize if it came out that way. I didn't mean it for that. but I will tell you, I don't want to postpone it. So if we need to go into executive session
Then make a
to,
motion.
to go over it, we can do that, but when I come out, I'm hoping we're done with this and we move.
I will entertain a motion as to whether or not we should recess into executive session to discuss this further.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to go in executive session to discuss those two contracts, to be sure that what we're voting on today was something that we went through in an executive session. I just want to clarify, not to assume.
Mr. Chairman, so that I understand correctly and for the record, this executive session is for legal advice with the county attorney's office. Is that the purpose?
The purpose of the executive session would be for the legal, for the county attorney's office to clarify what you've presented to us. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Right? Do we have a second?
I will second this for Supervisor Humphrey.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to recess into executive session. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All right. Ready? Thank you, Samantha. I'd like to call back to order this regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors, and we are discussing item 2G. Before us, we have two contracts. One is A and one is B. And with that, I will call for a motion on item 2G.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve a 4-year employment contract, Contract B, with W. James Minlove as presented.
And- Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve contract number, or letter B, for Mr. James Menlove to be presented with. And with that, I will, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we have 2-1, and Mr. Humphrey wanted an opportunity to make a statement.
Did you stated the contract that you were,
Yeah, B.
B?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I just, there are some, James, it has nothing to do with your competence as a county manager. It's more of contact of, things in the contract that I don't believe in. And that is, having a majority is our board's privilege, and in both contracts, it's unanimous in some things, and I don't feel as if I approve of unanimous decisions by a board, and so that's the reason I voted nay.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey. And moving on to our consent agenda action items, we have items 3A through G. Supervisor Humphrey, would you like to pull one or more of those off for further discussion?
I would. And that is going to be A, I believe.
Item 3A, you would like to discuss further? And I'll ask the same question to Supervisor Klein.
I don't have any one of them to pull off.
All right, then we will pull off item 3A and discuss it now. It is approval of amendment number 2 to State of Arizona Procurement Office Contract Number CTR 0161840 with the S.J. Anderson Company to extend the contract through June 30th, 2025. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, when I look at the back at the contract and the information that I have on 3A, site description, Gila County has entered into a long-term lease of Pleasant Valley Range District property. And it seemed to me that when we started this, Supervisor Klein, I've supported you in all of this, and I still do support you. But it seemed to me that we were going to obtain the property, and in the back when I read that we had entered into a long-term lease, is that something that we've been all along, or is that a recent?
This was put in play right after the project was initiated, and that is a 20-year lease with it, and that was put in place due to the fact we didn't know how long it would take to convey the property, and also the longer it's set, the worse it was getting without attention. So, and by doing this lease, we're able to go on with programs or released use and all that and open it up. So it did fail at the last week, basically the last hour in this last session on the Hill.
What failed?
The conveyance of the property. And so now it has been picked back up by Congressman Crane and Senator Kelly. And from what I'm hearing, which I'll know more about once we get to NACO here in February, end of February. But anyway, they plan on going on with that bill and trying to get it passed. So again, basically from my take on this, there was things attached to our bill that did not sit well with other people. We were used as a pawn in that bill. It wasn't because people were against what the project was. It was, they were using it for a bus to drive some other ones through, and it did not work. And we were the ones left holding the paper.
Okay, yeah, that's just a question that I had, and so that's why I pulled, that one to be, talked about, because like I said, when it said, we entered into a long-term, and so I just wanted to see where that was and kind of where it was going.
You know, thank you for that too, and let me explain one more thing, that lease has a dollar amount associated with it, a yearly dollar amount. But with everything, all the money that we've put into it, all the work we're putting into that project, it's been a wash. There hasn't been any money switched hands between the county or the feds.
Correct,
So,
yes.
so we're good there, and should be till.
What, yeah, that was just why I had a question about that, if anything had changed, since original, and so that was my only question, thank you.
Thank you, supervisors. Attorney Albo, do we need to vote on this separately or return it back to consent?
That's up to Mr. Humphrey if he wants to withdraw, or he stated his reason for that, and unless Mr. Humphrey wants to vote on it separately.
No, it was asked and answered, and so it was just a question.
Perfect. Then I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda action items 3A through 3G.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to accept agenda items A through G.
And I will second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Call to the public. Lisa, how are we doing over there?
Doing good, sir.
No public. Cassandra? No. Do we have anyone here in Globe that wishes to use item number 4? Call to the public. No? Then we'll move on to item number 5, which is our summary of current events, our presentations. Thank you, Maren. And we'll start with Manager Menlove.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce, though you know him very well, Mr. Tom Homan, if you could come forward. We've done some moving around within the GIS and the property management systems that we have at the county, have created essentially a different reporting model where Mr. Homan has been appointed as a department director. Department that can be more responsive to the assessor's office, to Assessor Kissy, and to the rest of the county that are utilizing this by utilizing a new software, converting to new software in the assessor's office. I want to make sure Tom and his staff that he will have in the GIS department are accessible to the entire county instead of underneath the umbrella of Public Works. So I wanted to make sure you're aware that and the public is aware that we, through our property management system, that Tom is a department director and can be more accessible to the entire county. Would you like to make any comments? Mr. Homan.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, County Manager Menlove, I just want to thank you for the opportunity and the belief in what we can do together. So, look forward to working with each and every one of you. And the job hasn't changed, just moving me a little bit higher up the chain for more visibility for projects within other elements of the county.
Thank you for that, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Any comments from either one? No?
Yeah, I would like to say thank you very much for not only what you've done in the past, but helping us grow and do better as the future. And so I thank you for taking on the challenge of that climb up the ladder. And so it's a ladder that's not only for you, but it's for all of the departments in Gila County that are trying to help the public. So thank you very much for that.
Supervisor Klein.
Tom, you're not the one that's been flying those drones around the country, are you?
That's the other Tom.
Okay.
The
Congratulations.
other Tom Homan.
Congratulations, Tom.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And look
Mr.
forward to working with you. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Would also like to, there's an item on here that we approved today for Community Services Department. We have a new Community Services Department manager with us today, and I was wondering if Joshua Mr. Beck, if you would take a moment to introduce our new Community Services Manager, please.
So as the board's well aware, starting in what was it, a year and a half ago, we've been covering community services since it moved over to public health, or even before then, with two of our public health staff. And wow, community services, as we've learned, is its whole new realm that runs completely different than what public health programs do. And learning that lesson when we rehired once Kaylee came back to the health department, and we were looking for somebody that had a little bit more experience in this area. Carmen actually applied from City of Surprise. She'd been working for the CAP program as a supervisor there, and even at the interview, Paul and I interviewed her, and she had way more knowledge in some of these programs than I think it would take Paul and I years to come up with the knowledge and experience level that she had. So she decided to take the position with Gila County, and she actually moved out here, and she's a local right now. And I don't know if there's anything you want to say, Carmen?
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to work with community services, and I'm really hoping that I can do really well for the community in the community services programs, and definitely taking on the challenge. I can say that it is a challenge, but definitely forward to working with our community.
Very good. Supervisor Humphrey.
Thank you very much for taking on this challenge. CAPS program, from my 8 years of being a supervisor, is definitely a challenge in a small community when we don't have a lot of resources and you still have a job to do. So I thank you very much for reaching out and taking on that responsibility. But with Paula and Josh, they're fantastic, and I'm sure they'll help support you in your new quest. And so thank you very much. And if there's ever anything that you'd like to talk to me about, or I can maybe try to help you with, because I was in the contracting business for years, and so I still know some of the people. So if there's anything that I can help your program with, feel free to call me anytime.
Appreciate that.
You bet.
Supervisor Klein.
Carmen, congratulations and welcome aboard. You do have a busy department, so anything I can do to help, just holler and we'll go forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Carmen, for coming on board. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys. Mr. Menlove.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I want to acknowledge that last week I did attend the State of the State address with the opening day, opening ceremonies for the Arizona State Legislature. Was there with Assessor Kissy, and appreciated the opportunity to be a part of that democratic process of new legislature being sworn in and installed to govern the state of Arizona. Also attended the new supervisor orientation with new boards of supervisors throughout the state, 20-something new supervisors out of 61. So there was quite a few, and a day and a half of orientation for these new supervisors. You as supervisors have a lot of responsibility, and particularly managing and governing the financial affairs of Gila County, and I appreciate your sacrifices and everything you do to contribute to the management of Gila County. Also, had the new reception at the County Supervisors Association that was, again, fabulous, quite a bit, good attendance from our legislators to that, and then the Board of Directors meeting for County Supervisors Association. This week we'll be attending a Arizona City County Managers Association that will, I appreciate the opportunity to go to that. In it, it gives us the opportunity to share and be able to work together better as different governments within Arizona, particularly Gila County. That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Menlove. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I last week I showed up at the Tonto Basin yard at 6 a.m. to ride with some of our workers and to see what they were working down in Gila, which they've been redoing the roads, and I wanted to kind of see the new roads, and so I was able to see what we're doing down in that area as well as ride in some of the equipment. And then I was at the Globe Yard at 6 in the morning on the 15th and kind of did the same in the Globe Yard, and it's kind of an eye opener to do that, to kind of see what our crews are doing and what our equipment's doing and kind of where that's at. So I appreciate the hands-on to be able to sit down with Homero and Melanie or maybe and discuss kind of, you know, our future and where we're going and what we're doing with our roads, because it seems like we are kind of a construction company because we do an awful lot of roads, and so our employees and equipment are very important. And then there was a cleanup at the Tonto Basin Fire Department. They're at Roosevelt. And so they did that on Saturday. I was gonna try to help them, but I had other things to do. I did attend the Tom Foster Day at Bullion Plaza in Miami. That was well attended. They were selling baked potatoes from like noon to 4, and I didn't have one. I paid for one, but I didn't have one, but they looked really, really good. And then they had a bunch of auction items, baskets and things. So that was a great fundraiser for Bullion Plaza and in memory of Tom Foster as well. Held a Roosevelt community meeting on the 13th at 1, and I was on KQSS radio on the 13th at 5:30. And so that's about all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor. 6:30, that's dark in the morning.
It was, yeah, it was, in Tonto Basin, it was dark and it was 31 degrees. And when you're down in that hole, it takes a long time for the sun to come up to warm up.
Appreciate your tenaciousness.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, dress warm.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On January 4th, I had a town hall meeting in Young, and had a really good turnout, even for as cold and miserable as it was. There was 70-plus people there. Lots of good discussion on different items in the county, but the main conversation was about the 512 road. Homer, they all want to know when we're going to pave it. So, and it's a mess. It's dry. You know, everything's dry. No rain. So blading it. You blade it today, it's blown out tomorrow. But anyway, we keep plugging away at that. Some of the other discussions were the short-term rental ordinance, water issues across the state, which is becoming a big issue in the state, and I expect to see more movement on that this year. Update on the vet center, which Kathy presented up there, and just overall county issues. So it was really good discussion. I think we spent about an hour and a half in that meeting going over a lot of stuff. Last week, I started off with the Tonto NRCD meeting in Roosevelt. I'm on the actual executive board of NRCD, but I'll be stepping back off just as a cooperator. And it looks like Clay Wills out of Young is going to step on behind me to take my place, which he's really good. And he'll do a good job there. We went on to Phoenix and attended the ECO meeting. When we got there, we had our voting. We voted in officers again, and Jason Whiting will remain the chair. And I think this is his probably second term as chair, maybe third. And they voted me in as vice chair. So that's all set and tended to. And then we stayed that evening for the legislative big to-do there, which was really good. It was crowded. There was a lot of people there. A lot of good discussion, a lot of people I hadn't seen for a while, so it was good. Mr. Minlove, I did want to tell you thank you for last week, because you put in an awful lot of time with the new supervisors and those meetings over there. And I know that CSA really looks up to you on helping with that, and it was good. And hopefully those new legislatures, well, I'm sure they learned everything that they couldn't do. I don't know if they learned anything they could do, but anyway, but they're on their way. And today I'll be meeting with Chairman Rambler in San Carlos. We're gonna work on the signature for the IGA for funding for the road services down there. That's been a long time in the making. Homer, I want to thank you for that. Hopefully it all goes well today and we get that signed and they can continue on. I know we're wanting to get it signed before the end of this month because they're supposed to receive a check the end of this month. The check's for $60,000, and that'll help them in some of their road maintenance on the Gila County side, not Graham County side. So I'm looking forward to getting that done as well. And Mr. Chair, that is it.
Thank you, Supervisor. I also was at the CSA legislative reception. It was a lot of people there. I'm not a social guy. It was too crowded and it was too noisy, but I was able to meet a lot of people. It was really good. And the Swedish meatballs were outstanding. They didn't last. The board meeting that followed the next day was exceptional as well. I do believe we have 17 new supervisors in the state. And so that was the most attended I've seen that meeting. And we were going around introducing each other. And just as a personal note, a woman from Cochise County, a new supervisor named Kathleen Gomez, said, Kathleen Gomez from Douglas, Arizona, Cochise County, she took Ann English's place. And I looked at Woody and I said, well, I used to know a Kathy Gomez. So I went and talked to her afterwards. It turns out she is the young woman that I knew 50-some years ago. Our family's been on vacation together, and it was just really quite the experience to reconnect there with that. That was just something. And then the Veterans Coffee Time every Tuesday was there last Tuesday, always a good thing. And the Honor Guard, Town of Payson, Veterans Post 147 erected a new flag, a large new flag in Payson at the north end by the Home Depot next to the highway there. And that was yesterday. So our county assessor was there and a lot of other people. It was really, really good. Payson is the official flag capital of Arizona, and we just keep putting more and more up, and we like that. I was on KMOG yesterday, and that turned out to be good too. So I'm very excited about this next year, and 2025, and going forward for the projects and the momentum that we're going to achieve. So.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
That spurred something with me. I attended the CSA legislative reception. That was on my deal, and I'd crossed it out, but it did spark. And I didn't go, but I did speak with Representative Marshall, and he has talked to me about carrying a bill on blighted property that I've been working on for a long, long time, because we've done pretty much everything in the county that we can. But there's investors that can tie up properties, and there's people who pass away, and there's no responsible person for those properties. And so in the county, we can't do much. It's kind of a state issue. And from working with Mr. Marshall, he asked me if I would like him to carry a bill this year. So he's getting with our lobbyists and things to go forward on maybe getting a bill passed to help clean up some of our properties that we don't have an owner for, if the state will help us. So my hat's off to him, because he's one of the first representatives that have stood up to try and help with that situation. So other than that, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very good. So if there's nothing else, then I will adjourn the meeting.